14-inch M1 Max Macbook Pro was life-changing when it came out 2 years ago, and in 2024, I still believe it's a life-changing laptop. So first, we'll start with the performance. These are the specs for my MacBook Pro. Mine has a 10-core CPU, a 24-core GPU, and 32 gigs of RAM. The M1 chip in 2020 was groundbreaking. It was such a massive leap compared to Intel chips. To me, these Max chips were also groundbreaking. M1 was already overkill for most people, and this goes way beyond that. This is not for the average person. So most students and teachers should be staying away from this. Even my cousin bought an M1 Pro chip and I told him it was way too much power for him. And it's true, on a day-to-day basis, he's not using most of the power. For this M1 Max chip, I needed the 32 gigs of RAM. I already had 8 and 16 gigs before, but it started to slow me down. I needed more RAM because I wanted to have multiple apps open at the same time. With 8 or 16 gigs of RAM, I had to close certain apps. If I was video editing, I had to close the rest of the apps. If not, video editing would be really slow. So now having 32 gigs of RAM, I can have all my apps open and nothing slows down. I can have Final Cut Pro open and Lightroom open. And with the M1 Max chip, I can edit videos with nothing slowing me down. This was never possible on the old Intel chips. I no longer have to click high performance. I can leave it in high quality at all times. That just means when I'm editing, I can see a high quality image at all times. This is such a big thing because before you had to make proxies, but now you can edit the video in its original form without anything slowing down. And before I also had some trouble with motion graphics. If I had any type of motion graphics, it would slow down here and there. But now with M1 Max, it doesn't slow down. I can do everything in Final Cut so much faster now, which wasn't possible before. And if it was, you had to spend thousands and thousands of dollars just to get this performance. Even Marquez Brownlee said he used to carry around a Mac Pro.
I literally packed up a maxed out iMac Pro, put it in a huge Pelican case, and lugged it with me.
He used to travel with it just to have that performance. But now with M1 Max, that's all he's been using for the last 2 years. Before I move on, if you could like the video and consider subscribing, it would really help the channel out and I appreciate it. Moving on to the design. This M1 Max weighs 3.5 pounds. These are the dimensions. 14 inches is a great size that you can carry anywhere. I used to have a 16-inch MacBook Pro and you can definitely feel how big it is. If you're constantly moving around day to day, the 14-inch is a much better size. These MacBook Pros brought back a lot of the ports that they took out before. They finally brought back MagSafe 3 to charge your laptop, which is also in the MacBook Airs now. And that frees up one of the USB-C ports. So this comes with 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports, and you also get an HDMI port. And they put back the SD card slot. This is something that I use multiple times a week. It did get annoying having to use a dongle, so I'm glad that they brought back these ports. Moving on to battery life. The battery life was a major improvement when the M1 chips came out. Those are still going to be the best for battery life just because it's not using as much power as these Max chips are, but you're still getting amazing battery life out of these. Apple claims up to 11 hours just being on the internet, and up to 17 hours if you're watching movies on Apple TV. Even the Pro chips are going to be a little bit better on battery life, just because of how much power the Max is using. On average, I get around 8 to 10 hours of battery life, and that's usually a mix of watching YouTube and having multiple tabs open. If I'm doing heavy video editing, that usually gets cut down to around 5 hours, which is still better than older MacBooks. If I was editing videos on my older MacBooks, the battery life would only last around 2 hours. And for the M1 Max, you get a 96-watt power adapter. It's much bigger than the one you get with the MacBook Airs. Moving on to the display. Apple claims that this is the best laptop display, and it really is that good. You get up to 500 nits of brightness for most content, and up to 1600 nits of peak brightness for HDR content. It also comes with ProMotion, which is 120 Hz. Even though it came out 2 years ago, it's still one of the best laptop screens, if not the best. Compared to MacBook Airs, you can see a difference. I love editing photos and videos on the screen. So now moving on to audio. With the headphone jack, you can plug in high impedance headphones, which is something they added to the MacBook Airs too. These 14-inch MacBook Pros come with a 6-speaker sound system, and this is a major upgrade from older Macs. Even watching YouTube videos sounds so much better. This is a comparison to the M1 MacBook Air.
I literally packed up a maxed out iMac Pro, put it in a huge Pelican case, and lugged it with me. I literally packed up a maxed out iMac Pro, put it in a huge Pelican case, and lugged it with me.
The speakers on the MacBook Air are fine for most people, but once you have the 14-inch MacBook Pro, it's hard to go back. Moving on to the keyboard, you get a full-size Magic Keyboard, and a pretty big trackpad. And once again, you get Touch ID, which is still one of my favorite features from MacBooks. This really has been a life-changing laptop for me. This is the laptop I wish I had when I started YouTube 6 years ago. If you're into video editing, this really is a dream laptop. Again, if you guys can like the video and consider subscribing, it would really help the channel out and I appreciate it. Be sure to check out some of my other Apple videos.